and welcome to episode 59 of the Knit Run Dig podcast. My name is Sam and you can find me on Ravelry as Stealth Dragon and on Instagram and Twitter as Knit Run Dig, which is the name of this podcast. It's been so long since I have recorded. I've had lots going on. I've become busy, I've been a little bit ill, but I'm back recording and I'm going to be recording on a weekly schedule. There are going to be some minor changes in the podcast. The first of which, well, it's a bit more of a major change, but I've got a new website. It's knitrundig.org and it's very much a work in progress. I'm trying to teach myself WordPress to actually make the website better, but I think that might be quite a slow process, but we'll have to see. It's been a long time since I've done any programming. So that's it, knitrundig.org is the new website, and this will be where you'll find this podcast and the show notes, and it will also be on my Knit Run Dig YouTube channel. So firstly, welcome back to any of your very patient returning viewers, and hello to any new viewers who might be giving me a try for the first time. So I mentioned that I'm making a few changes, so I'll just talk about briefly what I'm going to be running through. So firstly, just a little bit about a couple of things that I've been up to, then news about knit-alongs, and then the usual finished objects, works in progress, spinning, and then I'm going to call it the shiny new things, which are the new things I've been buying. And then my digging bit has now become the history bit, because I haven't actually done any physical archaeology for years now. I'm hoping to, because I've had a shoulder injury and dizziness, so it's not made it great to be on a site, but I'm hoping to get back involved in that next year. And so for the moment I'm going to call it the history bit. So it's going to be places I've visited, or tidbits of news, or that I've seen about something that I find really interesting that I'd like to share with you. So it's going to be a bit of a shorter part and probably fewer photographs. But the biggest change is I've been posting things on Instagram with the hashtag joyfulthing with no S on the end. There's only about 21 posts when I last looked, and what I'm trying to do is just in this podcast and in general show things that make me happy. And I'd love to see what makes you happy. So if you post on Instagram or Twitter with the hashtag joyfulthing, I'm also going to set up a thread on the Ravelry group. Sorry, Magnus is just being Magnus, cat say. And they've gone a bit bonkers today because it's raining, and so they haven't been able to get in the garden, or they didn't want to go in the garden, and they're just chasing each other. So there may be a few line interruptions from time to time. But back to the joyful thing. So I'm going to talk every episode about at least one thing that's made me happy, and as I said, I'm going to set up a thread on the Ravelry group, and I'll be looking at your posts on Instagram and Twitter to see what's making you happy, and I can't wait to get involved in that conversation with you. And then after that it's shop news. So I'll get back to just quickly, the title of this podcast is Lost Hats, Lonely Socks and Other Stories. So for those of you who follow me on Instagram, you may have seen that recently I finished a hat, which was the Karenin, Karenin, by Woolly Wormhead. She generously gave a limited time free code, so I chose that hat, downloaded the pattern and knitted it out of some handspun, which was fibre optic merino silk, and it was my first proper attempt at chain plying, and I was really pleased with the result, but I'd done it a few years ago, but I hadn't used it, so I used it for that hat. Wore it a couple of times because I knitted it for a holiday in Ireland because it was really cold over there, and then I lost it. So I will post a picture of it here so that you can see what the hat looks like, or looked like. And so that hat is now wandering around somewhere in Ireland, and I hope if anyone found it that they like it and are using it or have given it to a good home. And the Lonely Socks is a similar story. I was knitting my mum a pair of socks out of the Regia Stripe Mania, which is a heavier weight. I think it's a sport sport weight sock yarn. It's their 6-ply, and in I think it was the Lake colourway possibly. And I lost one of the socks. I think that was at the Geeky Puppy Knit Palooza retreat. No sign of it, and I have to say I didn't particularly enjoy knitting with that yarn for some reason. I found it quite splitty, and also I didn't like the feel on my hands, which I've only ever had with one type of Regia yarn before, which was the Merino Twist, which I didn't particularly enjoy either, so it was probably meant to be lost. And so the other stories it's just, you know, random things as usual, but the other stories are going to be, you know, I'll talk about a little bit about something I saw when I was in Ireland, and exciting things that are coming up. So to get on with the knitting, or more of the knitting, I've got a couple of cows I'd like to talk about. There's an ongoing cow in the Knit Run Dig group on Ravelry, which is the year-long shawl along, and I'm loving all of the entries. Thank you so much everyone who's posted such beautiful shawls in the group. And next week I shall be drawing for a prize, which will be a medium-sized bag of your choice from my shop, which is knitrundig.etsy.com. I'm happy to do, if you don't see anything you like, or there's nothing there in the medium size, so there's not much stock at the moment, then I love doing custom designs. I could even do machine or embroidery for you. So that's that knit along. It's carrying on. Any shawl that you finish before March 31st can be entered, and I'll be drawing prizes at random from that. So next week I'll be drawing for a winner from that thread, which is a year-long shawl along finished objects thread. And then some exciting news about a new knit along. I'm going to be vending and attending the Podcaster Lounge at Edinburgh Yarn Festival, which is on the 10th and 11th of March next year at the Edinburgh Corn Exchange. It'll be the 3rd year I've been, and I love it. I love meeting people, and I just love seeing all the amazing knitted objects and all of the inspiration, all of the vendors, and it's a great, Edinburgh is a great city, and it's lovely to be with Cece and to share a stand with her. Cece of Java Pearl Designs and Dami are also of Java Pearl Designs, who'll be selling their designs. And so this will be, I think, the 2nd year. I'm not sure if they did it before, but Blacker Yarns are sponsoring the Podcast Lounge, and they're doing a hashtag Blacker Podcal. So what you have to do with that is you cast on and knit or crochet any item using Blacker yarns, and the start date is the 19th of January 2017, and the object must be finished by the 4th of March 2017. And if you wear your finished object to the Podcast Lounge and the Blacker Yarns store, which will be there, then you'll get a discount. And also, so I'm going to be hosting a team. I'll be fielding a team, which is going to be called hashtag Team Knit Run Dig. So I'm going to start a thread on the Ravelry group, and I'd love to see your progress and what you're planning to knit, and I'm going to be participating myself. I think I'm going to knit a cardigan. Blacker Yarns is using British breed wool and Falkland, and it's spun in Cornwall and dyed locally, and it's beautiful heathery, tweedy or sort of solid colours, and undyed as well. So there's a great range, and there's weights all the way up from, I think there's lace weight, I haven't double checked that, up to Aran and Chunky. So there's a wide range, so you can make any project, you know, a shawl. There is a Blacker Yarns Ravelry group, and you can also chat about the knit along there. And if you can't attend Edinburgh Yarn Festival, then there will be a special prize draw as well. So that'll be for people who haven't attended. More details about that will follow. And if you want to see what yarns Blacker Yarns have, if you go to their website, Blacker, BLACKER, yarns.co.uk, to have a look at the deliciousness that there is. I think I've chosen a colour I like as well, but now I've got to coordinate my outfit to it. That's a shame. So that's the two cows. There's a shawl along, and then the Blacker Yarns podcal, which is based around the Podcast Lounge at Edinburgh Yarn Festival. So if you've got any questions about either of those cows, just send me a message on Ravelry and I will answer it. So now on to some of what I have been knitting whilst I have been on hiatus. So I have quite a few finished objects, and I've also been doing some crochet, but I haven't been doing that recently. And what I'm doing is I'm going to limit it to 3 finished objects this week, because otherwise I'll be here all day, and I probably won't have finished, well, I won't have finished objects every week, so I'll be able to show them in more detail on future shows. So the first thing is actually what I'm wearing. I'll stand up, or just, you can see there, just a nice I don't know how well this is coming up, but you can see it's a short sleeve tee with a lacy top and a lacy bottom, and it's a free pattern. It's called the Dandelion Buttercup by Heidi Kermeyer, and that's free on Ravelry. The yarn I used was, sorry, I've got hair in my mouth, Drops Belle, so very affordable, in the moss colourway, and it's a cotton, linen and viscose mix, so really a summer card top, which is why I'm wearing it over this long sleeve t-shirt, because it's too cold to wear short sleeves today. I know that the buttons at the top probably aren't the most thing to see, isn't the greatest way to wear it, but I wanted to wear it today for the podcast, so there you go. So that's the first finished object. I used 3.5mm needles. I didn't get gauge, but I decided to go ahead with it because cotton grows, and I find it a little bit short. I have plenty of yarn left over, so I may add length to it, but I'm going to wash it a couple of times. It's been washed. This machine washable as well, so great yarn. A bit splitty, but that's fine. I'm perfectly happy with it for the price. Not too hard on the hands as well with the cotton linen, and then the viscose softens it, so that's really nice to wear. But we shall see. If it grows lengthways, I'll be happy. If it grows widthways, I might have to do some sewing machine surgery. We shall see. So that's the first finished object. The other two finished objects are shawls. The first one of which is the Quaker Yarn Stretcher, which is a page pattern by Susan Ashcroft. It had been in my queue for quite a while. It's one designed to make the most out of yarn. You need at least 210 metres. I've used hand spun yarn. So it's a very simple pattern, but using large needles so you can get a wearable item out of your small amount of yarn. And I really enjoyed knitting it. I'm very pleased with the yarn that I'd spun it a long time ago, and it'd been in my stash for a while. So this is it. So it's a sort of a garter and stockinette shawl. I knitted it on 5.5mm needles, which is US 9. And you can see it's quite, it's not a small thing, and it's very wearable. I really enjoy wearing it. And the yarn is Blueface Leicester. Actually, I think I used it all up, and I finished off, yes, you can see, with, I think I did, with a bit of Shetland, which was called Imperial Explosion, which was in a very similar colourway, and that was by Hilltop Cloud. So this is Cloud Lover Yarn and Fibre in the Santa Sangre colourway, 100% Blueface Leicester, hand spun a while ago, and a very enjoyable knit. Fun and quick, and a great way to use up leftovers or hand spun or just that special skein of yarn. So I recommend the pattern. Very adaptable, fun to follow, enjoyable. And then the final finished object is also a shawl, and this is the Piper's Journey shawl by Paula Emmons Feasley. That's, yes. It's written for sport weight, but I did it in DK, and I chose to do a contrasting lacy edging. You can see that's a nicely sized shawl as well. So I used most of the, well, like all of the ball of this, the grey, which is Whiskers colourway, and about 2/3 of this Volga, the blue colourway, in the Madeline Tosh DK Merino, which is a singles yarn, but works really well for this shawl. It's really warm and cosy, and I like the colour combination because I can wear it with jeans and it just smartens up an outfit and it makes me feel warm. And it's one way you can wear it around your neck, or it just hangs off your shoulders nicely. So when I'm at work, sometimes I'll wear it on my shoulders as well. So that's Piper's Journey, and I knitted that on, I've got the needle size, I will just tell you, sorry, I've dropped my notes. So that was on 4.5mm US size 7 needles. And as I said, I have more to show you, but I'll do that in future episodes. So I have been busy knitting. I seem to have got more knitting done than I usually would have, so I'm very pleased about that. I was about to start showing you my works in progress. So I have 4 things to show you. The first of which is a pair of plain socks. which I'm knitting on 2.5mm wooden DPNs, not my favourite needles. I keep losing DPNs and I just don't enjoy knitting with them. The stitches keep falling off, for example. So this yarn is the Knitting Goddess British BFL and nylon 4-ply yarn in the Distressed Pudding colourway, and that's from the Terry Pratchett Self-Striping Yarn Club this year. I am in fact going to knit these for my mum because she needs a taller sort of cuff bit here so that she can get her thumbs in, because she's got arthritis and it's difficult for her to get the socks on and off. So, and because she's quite hard on socks, I'm actually going to rip this heel out and put a traditional heel flap and gusset in. So it will disrupt the striping pattern, but she won't mind and I don't mind. And I'm going to use Eye of Partridge or a slip stitch pattern on the heel to make it stronger. So, and the reason it's on DPNs and 2.5mm is because I actually took this on the flight to Dublin. And I knitted about 2 rows before I fell asleep because it was a 6:40 AM flight, so I'm pleased I managed to miss most of it. But there we go, so that's that. That's just the first sock, and I'll show you that's what the yarn looks like. And it's 4-ply British wool. Yes, actually I'm going to correct what I said about the wool. The wool is a 45% British Blueface Leicester, 30% mixed British wool. It's sourced from the UK, processed in the UK, custom spun in Yorkshire. So back to Discworld Club September 2016. So there we go. And it's supplied in cakes, so that saves me a job. That's my first work in progress. The first thing I want to show you is this beautiful needle holder, which I love. It stops the knitting falling off of the needles. I'm pretty much exclusively use circulars apart from the odd DPN when I have to. And this was gifted to me by the lovely Kimarie's Knit Knacks, K-I-M-A-R-I-E-Z Knit Knacks, Knacks with a K, knacks.com. And she also does beautiful, absolutely gorgeous project bags and yarn, so go and check out that website. Highly recommended, it's very useful. So the cardigan I'm now working on is the Mine Hill cardigan. I'm using it's by Amy Herzog and I'm using the custom fit version. So basically you put in your measurements and you can say whether you want a long cardigan, if you want any patterning. So I've actually chosen, this is a pattern by Amy Herzog. So I bought the custom fit version of the pattern and I'm doing long sleeves and quite a long top because that's what I prefer. It's a plain cardigan with a sort of a bit of a fancy rib along there, open cardigan. That's all I wear most. So, and the yarn I'm using is Fibre Spates Vivacious DK, and it's the second time I've tried to knit a cardigan in this yarn. The first time I didn't like how the cardigan was turning out, nothing to do with the yarn. So I love the colour, and given the fact that this is the second time and it's been ripped out and reballed, it's holding up really well, and it's a beautiful round yarn. As it is hand dyed, I am doing alternating skeins because there is quite a difference between some of them, though not all of them. As I can say, I've just started on the back. It is knit in pieces, which I don't mind. I actually like sewing them up. So that's the Mine Hill cardigan. And one of the great things about custom fit is you can just plug in your gauge. So you don't need to try and get your gauge to get the pattern. You get the pattern to match your gauge once you've decided on the yarn. So that's great. I mean, I can do the maths and everything, but I just don't want to. So there we go. That's the Mine Hill cardigan. Sorry if you hear strange noises in the background, the cats are at it again. I thought that when I made my second attempt at recording that because they were eating there would be no cat disruptions, but now of course they've finished, so we shall see. And then the third work in progress I have is a shawl, and it's the Round Round Get Around shawl by CC Ullman of Java Pearl Designs. It's written for DK or for fingering weight yarn. I'm doing the fingering weight version, and it's one where you knit all of the yarn you have, which is great. So I've made a start, shall I say. It's a fun pattern, and these are, I think these are 3.75, yes, 3.75mm needles. The yarn is the Knitting Goddess again, because I have a lot of her stuff in the stash. That's her 4-ply merino nylon. This is silver, and this is a gradient corally red one, which isn't actually coming up that well. So I'm looking forward to working more on that. And that I'm also doing that for the year-long shawl along. And CC Ullman is the designer at the moment that I've chosen to focus on. And so in January and February I'm going to be knitting a shawl designed by a relatively new designer who is Quirky Hand Knits and Tash, and she's got some beautiful shawl designs out. I've seen them all in person, and I can't decide which one I want to knit most, but there'll be more about that sort of coming up towards the end of December. And I'll set up a cal alongside the year-long shawl along so that you can knit one of her patterns. She also has a sock pattern. So I recommend having a look at Quirky Hand Knits patterns. So that's the shawl I'm working on. And then finally I'm working on, oh hello Magnus. So yes, he is in the room now, so who knows what will happen. I didn't shut the door because I know they'll scratch at it and cause more trouble. Cats. I love them, but still. So it's looking a bit odd because I'm just at the point of changing needle sizes from the brim. So needles everywhere. So, and it looks, there we go. I've just finished the ribbing and I'm starting on the cable pattern. This is 100% alpaca yarn, and I was trying to cable without a cable needle, but it's just not going to work with 2.75mm US size 2.5 needles and alpaca, and not having stitches on the needle when you swap them around on the needle just isn't a happy thing for me. So I have to find something I can use as a fine cable needle. But it's a fun pattern, it's an interesting rib, and then it's got a cable all the way up, and then I'm going to put a grey pom-pom on the top. So that's the Hartwith, Hartwith pattern by Rachel Coopy in her book Toasty Volume 2. So that's all of the works in progress I've been actively working on over the past while. As I've mentioned, I have been doing some crochet, started some blankets and things, and also some weaving. So more about that in future episodes. I've also been doing a lot of spinning. That's because I've joined the local spinning guild, well, West Surrey Guild of Spinners, Weavers and Dyers. They're based in Farnham, and I bumped into them when they were exhibiting and they were very friendly and welcoming, so I decided to join, and I'm really glad I did. I've been demonstrating spinning in various places, like in farms and at shows and at festivals. So it's been very enjoyable. I have actually finished quite a lot. I'm only going to show you 3. Some of it I've given away, and others I'll show in future episodes if I don't have any spinning to show you. So the first one, excuse me, I don't know why I've suddenly become all yawny. The first one I'm going to show you is the one I've just finished. I started this on Saturday and finished it on Sunday. This is a world record for me. It's because the challenge this month in the guild is to spin, weave or dye something related to the theme, which is log fires. So I had this in my stash, and what it was, I have pictures of it before, so I'll try and remember to put them in. It was Romney 48, so that's fine for Romney, and it's nice. I really enjoyed working with it. Into the World in the colourway Inara, I bought it in a D-stash, and I spun it. I split it. I spun it fractally and plied it 2-plied. So that meant I had one half of the yarn I spun across the top, and then the other half I split it into 4 thin strips. So effectively what happens is you get some parts where it matches up and some parts where it doesn't, so it's sort of like a modified self-striping or long gradient really. And this little tiny bit here, you can see it's much more much less mild really, you can see the colours more. I spun that back on itself because that's what I had left on one bobbin, because I didn't weigh the different halves, and as a result of me spinning it quite quickly, it's not especially even, but I'm pleased with the final result. It's an hour and weight, about 8 wraps per inch, and I got 120 metres. Not sure what I'm going to do with it, but it is soft. I'm not having any, there's no prickle factor in it for me, but I don't really suffer from that much. You know, I can wear Shetland mittens and stuff, and I know plenty of people who can't, people who don't even can't even wear wool socks. So for me, it's great. So that's the Romney. Highly recommend. Haven't spun it before. Definitely worth having a go. It was nice to spin. Didn't fall apart. Didn't fly about. And I'm pleased with the result. So it's still damp. That's why I haven't twisted it up. And then the next one I have to show you is over here, and it's a big old, huge amount. So this is what I've been on the wheel. It was on the wheel for almost a year. I've been using it to demonstrate spinning, so lots of different people have had a go on it, and therefore it's in different sizes, and it's also tangled up round itself. Oh, because I've tied. Oh, I know what I've done. Dull. Right. So I've just tied up 2 ties that weren't. Oh, just made a knot where I shouldn't have done, basically. Let's just try and untie that. I'll just. There we go. So it's 100%. It's a Corriedale cross. There's no colourway name, and it's by AJK Crafts. And it's very bouncy and very soft, and there's 375 metres of it in you know, all sorts of weight. So I think I'm going to keep some of it, I think I'll knit something with it and keep some of it aside, and I'll take it with me to demonstrations with the Spinning Guild so people can actually see that people like them can do this. So that's the it's a Corriedale cross, and the Corriedale is a great one for beginners to spin because it's a longer staple and nice and soft and generally easy to spin, so like Blueface Leicester. And this is, it's come out so bouncy. It's not, looking at it I would say it's underplied as well, but hey, I'm not going to use it for anything hard wearing, so that'll be fine. And then I have somewhere, let's just see, I'll have to pause it for a moment. This is the final hand spun I shall show you, and it's still a little bit damp. This is completely different from the other two. It's amazingly soft, and I don't know how well the sheen will come out. So this is about 279 metres of a 2-ply, I'll show you, which is, I'd say, a sport to a DK weight. And it's 50% merino, 50% bamboo, 50% silk. So slippery but very fun to spin. I really enjoyed it. Excuse me. That's Cloud Lover Yarn and Fibre in the chocolate and roses colourway. I don't know if you saw. Oh, he's playing with a toy mouse that's got catnip in it. Hey, sweetie pie. Oh, he's such a cutie. So. And oh, hello Blue, she's here as well. So it's a full house of cats. Yep, so a pleasure to spin. Again, not especially even, but that's fine. That's part of the beauty of hand spun for me. And I've really enjoyed it. I love spinning silk blends anyway, and this bamboo as well. It's just shiny and soft, and I think I'm going to make a cowl, possibly for my mum, because she definitely has the prickle factor, so this will be a nice one for her to wear. I might do the upstairs downstairs cowl actually that Amy Beth from the Fat Squirrel is knitting, so that's probably what I'm going to do with this. So that's all of the finished spinning I have at the moment. I just took the As I mentioned, the Romney I finished yesterday, so I'll show you what I'm about to do next. And so the first I have lots of single braids of yarn, like single braids of 4-ply, you know, variegated, and they're similar in fibre. So I've decided that I'm going to try and start to make bigger things, like bigger shawls or something, or garments even eventually. I'm going to start mixing them together because, of course, I'm the boss of this fibre, supposedly, but hey, when you have too much it does prey on your mind a bit. And so I can blend whatever I like. And so I looked through and I realised I have this beautiful colours. It's Fin Top, dyed by Porpoise Fur in the colourway Alpha Beta Gamma. It's from the Lab Goddess Fibre Club, but I think she has some available, and I love it. And then this is some yarn I've had in my stash for a while as well, and this is Fibre Nymph Dye Works BFL silk, so 75% BFL, 25% silk, so silk blend, one of my favourites, and I think the colours go together really well. So I'm going to do a 2-ply of these two together, so I look forward to showing you how that comes out. The colourway of the Fibre Nymph is Primordial Sea. I've been calling it Primordial Soup everywhere, but it's actually Primordial Sea, of course, because it's not soup coloured. And I'm not a clanger, so I don't eat blue strings pudding. But there we go. So, oh, I can't stop fondling it because it's so soft. So I'm looking forward to starting that. So that's the sort of fibrey things I've been working on most recently. So now I've got some new fibrey things I want to show you. I have also acquired quite a lot in the few months since I've been podcasting. I will show it to you gradually as I use it. So, and I have some fantastic gifts as well I want to share with you over upcoming episodes. So let's start with some fibre from Hilltop Cloud, which most of my stash is Hilltop Cloud. She very kindly agreed to dye a special colourway for the Geeky Puffin Knitpalooza in Geeky Puffin colourway, and so she took our colours and then added grey, and it's just beautiful. And so it's a backpack, so that's back is small in Welsh, and that's 7 times 20 grams in these stunning colours, absolutely gorgeous. And it says perfect for colour work, so I think I'm going to apply, spin each, you know, split each one in half, and then apply them on themselves, and then knit a beautiful gradienty, ombre, colourworky, cowly, hatty thing. That's my current plan with that. So that's Hilltop Cloud fibre. And then I also, from at the Geeky Puffin Knitpalooza retreat, from Phileas Yarns, I bought these two lovely ones. They're Luster Blueface Leicester, and I don't know if that's going to come through at all, but they have a glow to them. It's partially the colour and partially the face, and that's Phileas Yarns in the colourway Acropolis and What. And I did originally get them together, I'm not sure now, to make a 100 Acre Woods shawl, which is by I can't remember. I have the pattern of Winnie the Pooh. I love Winnie the Pooh, so I had to knit the shawl, and it's part of the little skein in the big knit club, so there's a bag and a pattern and everything. Oh, it's Helen Stewart designed the pattern, so there we go, Helen Stewart, Curious Handmade. So I love her patterns. It's very clearly written with line by line counts and everything, which I really like with shawls, especially lace ones. But I'm still not sure. Oh, Magnus! Sorry, he's scratching something he shouldn't be. I'm not sure if I actually would wear those two together. I love both the colours individually, but we should possibly, I don't know, I'll think about it. Anyway, let me know what you think in the episode thread. And the yarn is actually called, it's Wanderlust 4-ply 400 metres at 100 grams. So there's that one. And then more yarn, which I got at Yarnporium, which was a fantastic event up at King's College in central London. Had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get there on time to set up, but it was nice. And I've spoken to people who were there and they really enjoyed it as well, so that's good. So I bought a kit. When this came out as an advert on Ravelry, I fell in love with the pattern, and it's been in my favourites. And then when I saw there was a kit, I just knew I had to get it. So it's Lambton Pains. I got overexcited because Lambton is one of the places mentioned in Pride and Prejudice. I love Jane Austen. So you buy the pattern, and then this is the yarn. That's Third Volt yarns. And so this is the colourway that you see there. So this one is called Blue Steel. I can't remember what the thing is, but I'm kind of having a Zoolander moment there. And then this one is Cowtown, because the pattern is by Cowtown Knits. And so it makes this beautiful shawl. So I'm looking forward to starting that. And then I've got some stitch markers that were in the goodie bag from the Geeky Puffy Knit Palooza from the Little Grey Girl. And I love these. They're the ring stitch markers with beads on them, and they're in the colourway that we chose there. So it's blue, teal, pink and purple, and it's marvellous, and I love them. So it's a Little Grey Girl. She also does lovely project bags. So there we go. And then finally, another thing of beauty, which I got from the retreat. It's by Emily Cross Ceramics, and it's a yarn bowl. I've been wanting one of these for years, and I saw that they're all beautiful, but this is the one that I particularly fell in love with. Isn't that stunning? It's a nice size, so I can put a couple of balls of yarn in it, and I don't enjoy pulling from the centre because it always ends up in a horrible mess, and I don't like the way it collapses in on itself. So a yarn bowl is perfect for me. Beautiful blue and green, and with this caramel swirly inside, and it's a joy to use and a joy to look at. So that's Emily Cross Ceramics, handmade yarn bowl. So that's sort of the shiny new things I'll show you this time. As I said, there'll be more in future episodes. So I'm going to have to refer to my notes wherever I have put them. So notes are, notes are all well and good as long as you can find them. So yep, that's all of that done. And so now it's the renamed history bit. I haven't got many pictures to show you, just a couple of a library, which is Trinity College Dublin Library, the Long Room. It's very famous, and it's got busts of authors and famous people in Irish history. It's an amazing room. But the real reason I was at the library is because that's where the Book of Kells is held, and you can't take photographs of it because it's a 9th century illuminated manuscript, which in itself is just an amazing thought. So, you know, well over 1,000 years old, this thing of absolute beauty, made by monks. It's a Christian manuscript of the 4 Gospels with Celtic motifs and Christian art in it, and they think there are about at least 3 separate hands in the writing and at least 4 separate artists by their distinctive style. And whilst I can't take photos of it, the whole manuscript is available to view online for free at the Trinity College digital collections. So it's digitalcollections.tcd.ie. I'll put the link up in the show notes. It's definitely worth looking at, an amazing document, and it's one of my lifelong ambitions to see it, so I'm really glad I went to see it. I really enjoyed Dublin as well. I hadn't been there before. I've only been to Ireland once before, and I had the opportunity to go there for a couple of days with my cousin who'd flown in from Sydney, so I hadn't seen her for a long time. So we spent a night in Dublin and then went further in to Ireland and spent 3 nights there, and I had a great time. So there'll be more about Dublin museums in the next episode. So that's the history bit. So it's shorter and probably with less photos, but just talking about things I've visited or whatever that I find interesting with a link. So I hope that's all right for you. but for me, because I'm not digging, that's the easiest way for me to carry on talking about history, because it's something I love, a joyful thing for me, so I'd love to share it. So I mentioned before about the sort of joyful things and sharing. So I have a hashtag joyful thing. I'm going to have that every episode. And so the joyful thing for me this time is a book. It's called Messy, How to Be Creative and Resilient in a Tidy-Minded World by Tim Harford. And it's a non-fiction book, obviously, and it's talking about different sorts of mess. Now, the reason it appealed to me in the first place is because no matter how hard I try, I can't be messy. I consider myself relatively organised. I get stuff done, but not necessarily in a tidy way. So this book was great for a few reasons, one of which it helped me understand, it spoke to the way my mind works, because I just make random associations the whole time. I jump from thing to thing, which is why it's difficult for me not to be messy, because my mind is messy, and trying to impose a structure of order on it just doesn't work. So it never, and so it's not something I can stick to consistently. But it's also talking about other famously messy people, messy geniuses, mathematical geniuses, and the way that they create links between groups and then can have creative solutions to difficult problems, which obviously I don't do, but it's interesting to see. It's an approach to problem solving. It's also a way of looking at the world, because the more you try and categorise things, the more you try and push things in that direction, people can game the system. So, for example, if you try and put healthcare targets, then people, ambulance services or doctors or whatever, will work out ways to make sure that they maximise their score on that target, whilst there'll be lots of unintended consequences. And so this book is very well referenced, lots of interesting articles talking about how messy play is great for children, and about how a tidy desk policy doesn't work for everyone, and the fact that messiness can lead to flexibility. I mean, there are obviously downsides, like if I lose anything, it takes ages to find it, and things like that. But if you're interested in becoming more productive, or in creative solutions to problems, then I highly recommend this book. One of those things it says, which I agree, is that diversity is good. So whilst you tend to mix with people like yourselves, teams at work or in other situations, if they're more diverse, if they have at least one outsider in, they come up with faster and better solutions. So that's something to consider, and it's also a better living environment, a more diverse environment. So there's lots of things to think about. A great read. I read it quite quickly, very clearly explained, and highly recommended. So this is it, Messy by Tim Harford. That's my hashtag joyful thing for this week. And then I have some shop news. The most sort of fun thing is I'm eventing again at Edinburgh Yarn Festival, where I'll be sharing a stand with Cece and Dami Ullman of Java Pearl Designs. They'll be selling their amazing patterns, and I'll be selling bags. And as I mentioned earlier, there's also I'll be visiting the Podcaster Lounge when I can, and there's an amazing Blacker Yarns knit along, and I have actually spent some of the time whilst I've been waiting for the battery to charge to look at the Blacker Yarns website. Fantastic, beautiful yarns, choice of woolen or worsted spun, from lace weight up to chunky weight, bright-ish colours, muted colours, natural colours, organic, some organic stuff as well, interesting breeds. So lots of choice. I highly recommend going to have a look at that site and drooling over the yarns. I think I'm going to knit Passing Showers by Elizabeth Smith of the Brown Stitch. So it's a short-sleeved open cardigan, and I might use the Blacker Yarns Lioness, which is a wool linen blend, because it's sort of like a layering piece, and so I quite like the thought of a wool linen blend. I'm into my linen at the moment. So that is all for the time being. Hopefully this podcast isn't too bitty. I am very rusty, but I'm trying again with notes, and this will be available on the Knit Run Dig channel on YouTube and on the blog at knitrundig.org, and I'll put up a thread in the Knit Run Dig Ravelry group, and if you want to contact me, it's knitrundig@gmail.com. That's my email address, or you can contact me via Ravelry message. And I look forward to seeing what your joyful things are, and that's going to be an ongoing theme for the rest of the podcasts, and that's the approach I make when I make bags and the projects I like to knit as well. So have a joyful week, and I look forward to hearing from you and speaking to you again next week. Thanks, bye.